Okay, we still have a few other people coming in, but I think to be respectful of your time, we'll get started with our Zoom presentation. First of all, congratulations on your acceptance to the Busch School of Catholic University. My name is Bill Conlon. I'm Director for Marketing and Recruiting. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your night, especially for how often everyone's been on Zoom over the past couple of weeks and months. Just get to know what the Busch School is like. To get to know how we prepare our students for their careers after graduation, and how we kind of allow students for those pathways of career exploration too. So we have Mary Kate Conroy, our Director of Career Development, here tonight. We have Brett Laprad, our Associate Director for Employer Engagement, as well as two of our alumni, Claire Conway and Justin Smith. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, talk a little bit about why they chose Catholic, why they're still here, what they're up to, and then we'll get started in our presentation. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. We'll make sure we're monitoring that, and we'll have some time at the end for some more of your questions as well. So Mary Kate, do you want to get us started?
Sure. Thanks, Bill. Hi, everybody. It's great to see you here. My name is Mary Kate Conroy. I am the Director of Career Development, which means I help put together all of the programming on the employer relations side and on the career coaching, career preparation side for students in the Busch School to connect with our employer partners and our awesome alumni. I am from Allentown, Pennsylvania. I did go to Catholic for my undergraduate and have come back and am now running the career development office. So I'm excited to share with you what we have to offer and answer any questions you have.
Okay, Brett, let's have you go next.
Sure. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, everybody, for taking some time to join, and congratulations again on your acceptance. How exciting. I remember those times fondly, trying to figure out what you're going to do. How's this going to lead to the next stage of your life after college? Lots of big decisions. So my name is Brett Laprad. I'm the Associate Director for Employer Engagement in the Office of Career Development. So in my role, I spend most of my time talking with our alumni base, with other employer partners like nonprofits, NGOs, government agencies, and then, of course, for-profit companies, all the way from Fortune 5, the largest of the large, all the way down to the startup that just started a few months ago. So it's a lot of fun for me because I get to meet a lot of really interesting people doing a lot of really great things. And then I get to kind of put students next to those people so that they can learn and grow and eventually get internships and jobs to see what the world of business is like. So I'm excited to share a little bit about what that looks like with all of you tonight. And I also am an alumnus of the university. I did a master's at Catholic, and I'm currently doing a PhD, not business related, but so Catholic has a fond place in my heart.
Thanks, Brett. Claire, let's have you up next.
All right, hi, my name's Claire. I am the Chief Operating Officer at a small marketing agency called Ringlet. We work with all different types of business strategy and marketing around the country, a couple international clients, a team of 10. I went to Catholic and chose Catholic for a million different reasons, but the career office at the Busch School was a huge part of my success and a huge part of helping me to understand how I was going to find a role at a tiny company and grow fast there. So I could definitely say that they're definitely a big part of the reason how I ended up where I am now. So I'm excited to talk to you all today. And again, congratulations on your acceptance.
Thanks, Claire. And last but not least, Justin.
Hey, everybody. As Brett and Claire said, congratulations. What an exciting time. What I wouldn't give to be back in your guys' shoes starting out my journey at Catholic. I'm originally from Ocean City, New Jersey, and I now live and work in Washington, D.C. at PwC or PricewaterhouseCoopers as a second-year associate in our private company services assurance practice, providing financial statement audit services to big tech companies that are privately owned, government contracting firms, and a couple other international subsidiaries of publicly listed companies abroad. So some pretty interesting stuff. And I got my undergrad degree at the Busch School in accounting and graduated in May of 2019.
Excellent. And then Mary Kate, I'll turn it over to you for the start of our presentation. You're muted.
Awesome. Thanks for your patience. I wanted to share this presentation with you. We'll first dive into our overview. I do want to make sure that this works. One second. I think the presentation needs to load for a second. There we go. Apologize. It doesn't seem to be advancing the way I need it to.
If you use your arrows, that should work.
Yeah, it's not. Sorry, everybody. It does when I'm not in Zoom. If it works for you, Bill, are you going to be staying on? Would you mind advancing the screen?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. Hold on.
Okay, thanks. I'll try one more time. Oh, never mind. Bill's got it. Thanks, Bill. We'll start off with the video overview.
American, it might be best for you just to give an overview instead of the
video.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. I can do that.
Hey, there we go.
Is it working?
Career development is about the whole person. And I think sometimes that can get lost when you're so focused on the career and the job search and getting that job that you think is right or that you're supposed to have. Career development is really about finding what it means to be a force for good in the workplace, to find out what it means for you personally.
The Office of Career Development exists to help students find meaningful work through the study of vocation. So career exploration, career preparation, career development, all aims towards developing a whole person.
And we get asked this all the time. How do I find not just a job, but a meaningful career? Our approach is really finding that vocation in business. What is it that you are really good at, that you're passionate about, that's going to contribute to something greater than yourself?
Students really want to contribute to something more. And to them, more is meaningful. And to them, meaningful is giving of themselves. It could be working directly with people in a way that's helping others.
They helped me to understand and learn that I didn't have to lower my standards when looking for a workplace that operated with integrity and had core values the same way that the Busch School did.
The small size of the Busch School of Business allows the Office of Career Development to mentor, to coach, to teach, to train all of our students in really individualized ways.
I meet with students one-on-one. I get to ask them questions about who they wanted to be when they were growing up, who they want to be now, and how we're able to help the students really navigate a world full of opportunities and make it quite a step-by-step path.
The one-on-one coaching with Mary really helped to develop a resume that would make me stand out when I was applying to startups and small business.
So our career coach meets with numerous students each week. Our career peer advisors meet with students to help them with career exploration. And the rest of our office is able to meet with students to talk about their interests, the experience that they've already had. And it kind of do a matchmaking in our head in order to say, you've got these experiences, you've got these skills, maybe you should consider talking to this person.
A
lot of what we're focused on is the networking piece and experiential learning. Early in my college career, I was able to do the mock networking events, which helped me learn how to network and how to make the most of your community.
There were plenty of networking opportunities available, whether it be a career fair here on campus, also having the metro accessible right here on campus, and being able to get out into the city and meet the people in the fields that I wanted to work in was just so valuable.
I do a good amount of recruiting at the Busch School, just looking for different candidates for our intern program.
And we bring on class talks, club talks, helping them develop some skill sets, all while recruiting for our internship program as well.
And all of these things combined allow students to really pick and choose the things that they want to do, where they want to dip their toes in, where they want to dive headfirst into. And we've got really great people, both within the school, alumni of the school, and companies that we work with, who are willing to help students achieve whatever goals that they have and experience whatever they might want to try.
Catholic teaching reminds us that our life is supposed to be rooted in mission, and that having values is a huge part of being a whole person.
So that's really the goal, is we don't want to develop people who are just good at business. We want to develop people who are good and good at business.
And the university itself, Catholic University and the Busch School of Business, help students look at that and take time to focus inward and ask themselves what their mission is, what their vocation is, and how business is a means to which they can become the person they are really desiring to be.
Okay, thank you everyone for bearing with us there. Technology issues, but ultimately we really wanted to show that to you to just give a sense of what our meaning and our purpose comes from, and how we really are focused on you achieving your goals, whatever that may be. Finding meaningful work is really at the core of what we're doing in career development. So we are really excited when you're in the Busch School, you work one-on-one with a career coach, with the rest of the team, you create personalized development plans, really making sure that your experience is tailored to what your strengths are, what your goals are. And then we try to match you with our employer partners and our alumni, not just for networking purposes to get a job, but for those lifelong relationships. We really believe that authentic relationship building is the key to your success as you move forward and as you grow in your careers. It might be hard to think about finding a job or what it's going to be like after you graduate from here, but that's where we come in and we help you from day one really have that perspective that the decisions you're making now will affect the ease of the job search come senior year and beyond. So Bill, if you can move to the outcomes section, I'll have Brett talk a bit about our outcomes so far, and then we'll dive into all the pieces of the puzzle that go to making our graduates or helping our graduates be as successful as they are.
Thanks, Mary Kate. Yeah, one of the things that we're most proud of, I think, at the Busch School of Business from a faculty perspective and from a staff perspective is the success that our students have in finding full-time employment or enrolling in graduate school programs when they finish. So actually, Bill, if you could go into the placements there, we can show the folks some of the things that we're talking about. Bill, would it be okay if I shared my screen? It's really blurry to the point that it's very, very hard to see.
Yeah, Brett, let me actually switch out of the optimizing, and that should hopefully.
Thanks, Bill.
Is that better?
It's not.
Okay.
Now it is. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Cool. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, so you can see here since 2014, one of the things that we try to pride ourselves in is being a data-driven office of career development, and that kind of permeates through the rest of the school. So looking at how well our students are doing and tracking different metrics. And the one that you see here is one that we're really, really proud of. So Bill, if you can click again, we'll zoom in so folks can see it a little bit better. So since 2014, in the blue graph, in the blue bars, you can see that that's our Busch School placement rate. So placement rate is everything from finding a full-time job after graduation to enrolling in a graduate school program or entering a vocational service or long-term volunteer service. Anything like that would count towards what we would call placement for our graduates. So the blue bars are the Busch School placements, and the red bars are the average placements for all other business schools across the country. And as you can see, consistently since 2014, we have outpaced by a pretty large margin for most years placement for compared to the average business school. And I think one of the things that we're really, really happy with, really pleased with, and I think it speaks to the degree that the faculty and the staff that we have in the business school that we're willing to go to serve our students. If you look at 2020, the national averages have not yet been released, but we've got our data ready for our class of 2020. And as we're all well too aware, the pandemic hit 2 months before that class of 2020 was supposed to graduate. And you can see that even in the midst of a lot of uncertainty, in the midst of a pretty tough economy, in the midst of unemployment growing and things coming and going in waves, still 95% of our students were able to find employment or enter grad school within 6 months of graduating. So we're really pleased with that. And that's one of the things that enrolling in the Busch School of Business that we can say is that you're going to find a job. There's plenty of opportunities around the DC area, but we have a great alumni network across the country that can really help you find different opportunities and get your foot in the door for whatever kind of industry that you're interested in. So we'll talk a little bit more about those particular industries later. But for the time being, parents, mom, dad, I know that this is important for you as you're thinking about what kind of return on investment am I going to get from sending my daughter or my son to Catholic University and to the Busch School specifically. And we can say unequivocally that we do a really great job of making sure our students get into positions that they want to get into and that they find meaningful work, and that almost all of our students do that in a timely manner after they graduate. Bill, I think the next thing we want to talk about, I'm going to hand it over to Mary Kate. No, I'm going to stay on this actually. We're going to talk about internships next. And so maybe we can kick it off with Claire. If you wouldn't mind telling us about your experience doing internships while you were a student at the Busch School of Business. You were one of our interns in the Office of Career Development, but you had many other ones, if I remember correctly. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I did have a lot of internships. And I think that what was great about that was I was able to have the space in my schedule and also able to have the support of professors in the career development office to support the 9 internships I had throughout my college career in all different industries. I started at the American Diabetes Association to figure out if I wanted to do nonprofit work. I then was like, oh, maybe I like health. And I worked at Cigna in their leadership development program. I decided I didn't like big businesses. So I got a job working at the Busch School. I was interning there for a little bit, where I got to learn a lot about small businesses through the Sioka Center. And then from there, that eventually led me to being on the Small Business Growth and Development group, where we worked with all different accelerators in the city. And that's where I met my now business partner who was running the company, and I was able to join her team after graduation. And it took a long time to grow with the company, but it definitely, in reality, wasn't that long. A lot of that has to do with all the different positions I was able to hold. Those internships were relatively, I don't want to jinx it for anybody, but they were relatively easy to get because I had better coaching, more hands-on work on my resume from my freshman year than I think any of my peers or people from my home, like people that I went to high school with and came back to my hometown and saw. Like, I definitely had seen a career coach by my first year of college. I had gotten that internship at the American Diabetes Association. I had been coached through the interview, and that really helped me to kickstart it, because I know the first internship is the hardest one to get. And then from there, you're able to figure out what you like and don't like, and you can work with the coach in the office or your professors, and that can help you kind of discern what's going to be the right path and how to find roles that are best going to fit your skills. So I definitely benefited from what seems like an insane number of internships, but not all of them were that heavy of a workload, and not all of them were exactly what I wanted. But by the end, it led me right to the role and position I wanted to be in. So it's a bit about my experience there.
Yeah, Thanks, Claire. And as you can see, everyone, 87% of our students that graduated had at least one internship, which is above the national average, which is somewhere in the 60 to 70% range. We encourage students to do internships through our 4-credit internship course, where students can earn 3 credits for working. And it gives more directed supervision from a professor here in the business school. We also have launched a micro internship program that's more focused on, you might say, gigs or projects or smaller hourly based internships rather than long durations in the weeks or months or semesters. Justin's kind of on the other end of internships. And so Justin, I'd love to hear about your experience going through the accounting and the Big Four internship recruitment process. What was that like for you? And what would you share with a student who might be interested in the internship recruiting process for that?
Sure. So the path forward for an accounting internship, especially in public accounting, the Big Four firms, it's pretty structured. You're starting the process by the end of your sophomore year, applying for externships, which are 1 or 2 day kind of shadowing opportunities to go check the firms out, get a feel for the culture and the people. And then by the summer of your junior year, you're kind of finding which firm you want to intern with and spending about 10 weeks with the firm. And then the really nice thing in the accounting field is at the end of your internship, you're extended a full-time offer for after you graduate. So I got to go into my senior year knowing that I already had my job lined up after graduation to return to the same team that I was on at PwC in our private company services group. So I had that familiarity with the clients that I'd be working with and the colleagues that I'd have. So it was pretty seamless from just sophomore year on.
Great. Thanks, Claire. Thanks, Justin, for those experiences. And for the sake of time, I do want to transition into the other side of the house here, which is our career coaching and career prep. So from a career coaching perspective, we do have a dedicated career coach who is just in the business school, who works with business students to develop personal development plans, which I mentioned a bit earlier. We also have a team of career peer advisors, and these are trained junior and senior level students who provide resume and cover letter feedback and interview preparation. And they're just invaluable resources because they get to share with you early on their experiences through the interview process and applying to internships. And all of them have held great internships that they can share and refer you to as well. So between our career coach and personal development planning and career peer advisors, as well as Brett and myself, we have a pretty hands-on team. Then you move into the career preparation side of what we do, and there is a 4-course sequence called the super curriculum where you really get practical preparation for job searching. It's a required 4-sequence class during your time in the business school. We focus on experiential learning, so connecting you with employers, simulations, giving you workplace simulations, networking opportunities, and employer connections through that class. You start your freshman year in that course sequence, so you are exposed to resume writing, cover letter writing, and LinkedIn, building up your LinkedIn from day one in the Busch School. We also revolve those classes and all of our preparation around competency development and value development. So everything from prudence, justice, temperance, to the actual career competencies of oral and written communication, professionalism and work ethic and career management are all what have driven the curriculum for this 4-course sequence. Brett, Bill, we can move on to some of the programs that we offer with our employers. And Brett, if you can speak more to that.
Yeah, so we've got the career coaching and career development side of things, but one of the things that we try to do is always have as big of a network as possible for our students, and getting students plugged into that network is one of the key things that our office does. And so we do that through a number of programs. In the light of the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, most of this has been done virtually since last year, but when it's kind of normal times, non-pandemic times, we do lots of on-campus recruiting, from industry networking nights to our larger career networking night that Claire had a hand in planning the first iteration of, and Justin did his hand at it when he was an intern with us as well. We do different workshops and panels with different employers for skills that students might not get in the classroom, but employers really want students to have. We try to have every Friday afternoon and most Wednesdays recruiting sessions with different companies or organizations that are looking for interns, or now that students are about to graduate, for full-time job opportunities. And we're really excited to just highlight that we're launching a cooperative education program where we're working with some companies around DC and up and down the East Coast to get students placed into full-time opportunities where they can learn even more while they're on the job, and they can earn some more money while they're still in school. I'm really excited about that new program, and it's something that if that interests you, you should reach out to us to learn more, and stay tuned to our website to see how our first pilot group does, and maybe you can be a part of it in the coming years. I do want Justin, I'd love to hear, you participated in so many things when you were a student. Was there one that stands out in your mind as being beneficial or most enjoyable to you?
Brett, I'm so sorry, you cut out for a second. Can you just repeat that question one more time?
Yeah, sure. Is there a program that you participated in while you were a student that stands out in your mind as being most beneficial or most helpful?
Yeah, so I mean, the 4 course sequence that Mary Kate was touching on earlier, I think those are just such relevant and necessary skills in your career development journey. Things like networking and beefing up your LinkedIn profile. Those are things that you don't stop just when you get a job. Those are things that you continue to do even throughout your career. And it's something that I continue to work on. So I think that was really, really helpful as an undergrad, just to lay that foundation.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. Claire, same question to you. You were involved in a lot of things. What was most helpful or beneficial to you?
Yeah, so I think that for me, I found the networking events, I found those to be most helpful because I got to practice things with employers who wanted to help me practice and with older students who wanted to help me practice. And that was a lot of fun. I think still, like, my entire career is networking at this point. So if I had not built that foundation in college, I do not think that I would be able to do the work I do now in the marketing agency field. Like, I just don't think I would be able to do it without the networking. So that was great. And then also, so yeah, the own event that I, no, but that, and then I also, I think that the mock interviews were a lot of help because people never, like, they interview you. And sure, that sounds a little scary, but then all they do for the last 10 minutes of it is give you advice. And it's like so fun to hear advice from somebody that's just 2 or 3 years out of school. That was really, really helpful. And I still am connected with some of those people. I still like talk to them. I still see them at networking events. So it's nice, and they're relevant to the industry I'm in. So that's always been great.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks to both of you for sharing your perspectives there. I can say too that both Claire and Justin work for what we would consider our employer partners at the Busch School of Business. So both PwC and Ringlet have been really great supporters of our students and programs that we've been doing, whether it's been recruiting students for internships or jobs, or being an interviewer for the mock interviews like Claire just mentioned, or just supporting us by giving us advice and bouncing ideas about the things that they need to see students have or skills that they want students to have, so that we can, change our curriculum or offer different workshops outside of the curriculum. So what you see here on the screen is just a sample of some of the companies in the last few years that we've had graduates go and work at, or maybe some current students intern at. So it's kind of all over the place. There's a lot of name brands there. I'm sure that you recognize many of them, parents, students. I'm sure the Washington Nationals jumps off the page if you're from around the DC, DMV area. But you can see, like I said at the beginning, from the largest of the large companies down to the smallest of startups, we place students in a wide variety of employers, and they get to see a lot of different ways that businesses can run and businesses can function, and see what good business can do in the world, which is really what we're trying to do, is help students to see that and then go and live and be active, living out that mission.
To sum it all up, we have provided our contact information. I would love to take some questions from the group if you have any. And if there aren't any for us, you can definitely ask Claire and Justin, or send us an email if you think of something later. But feel free to post in the chat now if you do have any questions about what we're offering, or maybe even what you're looking for in a school. We're happy to answer.
And we'll share that contact information at the end again. There's also 2 QR codes if you want to connect with any of our current students, as well as for any other admitted student Zoom sessions that we'll be doing over the next few weeks. But at this point, we just want to open up the chat, see if we have any questions, or just unmute yourself and ask. Question in the chat: how long do internships usually last?
Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, I want to hear from Claire and Justin. How long were your internships?
Mine would be like if it was the summer, it would usually be a 10 or 12-week program. And if I did it during the school year, it was the whole semester. So I would commit to from class start till class end.
Yep.
My class start,
answer.
class end. Yeah, I just mean the semester like timeline.
We are adding that cooperative education program now too to provide extended contracts. So we are targeting 8-month-long work opportunities for students in that particular program. So traditional internships are what Claire and Justin were saying, and then for the co-ops, it will be longer.
And I did do the small business growth one that was a year. I did do a year-long one through the Sioka Center that was super beneficial. The long ones that Mary Kate's talking about are so fun. You get to have like so much of a bigger impact. I really recommend those.
So we have a question in the chat about accounting. So I think, Justin, you might know a little bit more about this than we do. If a student, accounting major, goes to Catholic and wants to earn their Master of Science in accounting, how does that impact the timeline on the internship and full-time offer? Does PwC, I've heard that some CUA Busch School accounting students have gone on to KPMG and they pay for Villanova MS accounting. Does PwC and other 2 of the big 4 firms do that as well? I know that's pretty specific.
So I'll speak from personal experience. I did my 4 years and got 150 credits in those 4 years from the Busch School. To be CPA eligible, to start taking the exams, you have to have 120, which is just a standard bachelor's degree. But then to be actually licensed, it's 150, which is why a lot of people will opt to do a 5th year and get their Master's of Accounting, or MAC as they call it. So if you are doing an internship, you can either do it from your junior into senior year, or you're somewhere between your senior year and your master's program. And then depending on which firm you go to, they'll just work out your full-time start date depending on when you'll be done with the master's program. It doesn't prevent you from interning your junior summer. They just want to make sure that you have a plan to become CPA eligible, because that is a career requirement in audit and tax.
Next question: what was it like working an internship while taking classes? And obviously this one's meant for Justin and Claire, whichever one of you wants to go first.
Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, so I mean, it takes a little bit of planning. You definitely want to set up a schedule where you can either have full days on Tuesdays and Thursdays to be at your internship, or break it up so you're not doing like 2 hours at your internship, an hour in class, and then 2 hours back at the internship. So it just takes a little bit of upfront planning, which is very flexible with the way that classes are scheduled at Catholic. I found it to be very easy. The semesters where I would take class and intern, and so you do that about midway through the preceding semester.
Yeah, when I was doing internships that were like leadership development programs, so a bit more intensive, there when a company, like it was like when Cigna wanted to grow you within the company, those I planned for the summer, because you can't really do a huge program during the school year. I mean, you can, but if you want to give it a lot of focus and work the full 40-hour week internship, I would save those for the summer. And then during the semester, it was difficult, but it's not anything. Everybody else is doing it in the business school. So it doesn't feel like you're the one person who's busy. Everybody is doing an internship and everybody's working hard to progress their career growth. So you're kind of in it together, and it's manageable, and professors know that students take internships, and everybody's very supportive.
Okay, next two questions are about accreditation. So where do we stand in the accreditation process, and how does being accredited affect the program?
Bill, I thought you would know where we stand in the process, but we are in the process. From our perspective, we have not seen this affect anything from our placement, from our outcomes that we've had increasing placement over the years. So from our perspective in career development, accreditation is a cross the T's, dot the I's, something that we're actively working towards. I think we have a couple more years left, but being active in the process is a huge feat from what I know of the program. But we haven't seen any negative effects of not yet being accredited. We are still a young, growing school, so to be in the process is good.
Yeah, so we're currently a member in good standing with AACSB while not accredited yet. So we're currently in the process of receiving full accreditation. So the Busch School has only been around officially, as opposed to being just a department in the School of Business and Economics for less than 10 years. So you need a certain amount of time being a business school to go about the accreditation. So at this point, we are within a 3-year timeline. So by the time that students coming in now are juniors, according to AACSB's accreditation, we should be received that full accreditation. Part of the accreditation process is also mission-based. So we had crafted a mission of bringing business as a force for good to the business world and kind of grounding that in virtue and ethics. And AACSB is recognizing that more so than they have in years past as being very fruitful and necessary for changing the world of business. So great questions.
Yeah. If I can add one other thing there, this AACSB accreditation that Bill's talking about and that I think the questions are coming from is something that's on top of this university's already possessed accreditation. So all the degrees are accredited from the Middle States Commission on Higher Education. You will graduate with an accredited degree. It's just that as we're going through this business accreditation process, this is just like a cherry on top of the good things that the university is already doing. So you're not going to like a degree mill. This is a real university. There's no issues there.
Right. And the AACSB accreditation is given to the, I think, top 5 or top 10% of business schools. So a few other questions in the chat. What internships can you do if you like to pursue a degree in finance?
Yeah, I can take that one. Finance is our most popular major for students now, and you can do many different things. So recently we've had students work in investment banking, so going up to Wall Street to work, or going to Houston or to San Francisco to work for those big banks or boutique banks. You can work in hedge fund management. You can work in private wealth management at like Morgan Stanley, or you can get your CFP and be kind of your own individual private wealth advisor. You can do corporate finance, where you're doing all of the books and projections and financial modeling for corporations and companies. And then recently, because our sales program has been so successful, a lot of our finance students are finding it very lucrative and meaningful to go work in fintech or financial technology businesses, where they know the modeling and the math and all those things that go into providing that service that the fintech company does. But then they also have a sales perspective on it as well. So going into tech sales is also something that our finance students like to do. And all of those are both full-time and internships.
Next question, and I think, Brett, this is something you're pretty passionate about. Are there paid internships?
Yes, I am very passionate about it, as Mary Kate, Claire, and Justin will know. We coach our students to prioritize paid internships. I even say I discourage students from taking unpaid internships unless there's kind of all of the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, for a number of reasons that I'm happy to talk about. But the base reason is that you're doing work for an organization, and the way that we value work is in our society is we provide payment for that work. And so you need to value yourself enough to get paid for the work you do. And you should be valued at any organization enough that they should be willing to pay you. So that's the baseline, that it's a human dignity issue for us, and we do all we can to get paid internships for students. And I'm happy to say that in a recent survey that we did from the summer 2020, almost all of our students did paid internships. So that's something that we're actively working on. And there's a big movement now, especially in the DC area, to especially political internships and sports internships that have traditionally been unpaid are now beginning to become more and more paid opportunities.
So I have a quick question that I don't think we addressed too much that I think would be good for both Claire and Justin. DC is obviously a big draw and a big, part of the student experience at Catholic University. How are you guys able to utilize the city in regards to your career and internship opportunities? Whichever one you wants to go first.
Sure. So actually my freshman year, my first internship was on the Hill or in the House of Representatives with just my local congressman from South Jersey. So that was a really easy first internship experience to have because Catholic University is right on the Red Line and you get off at Union Station and you can walk right to the Capitol building. So it didn't prevent me from needing a car or having to take 3 different bus transfers to get there. It was a really easy commute. And then I found that to be, quite a common theme throughout the rest of my 4 years at Catholic. Everything is pretty much metro accessible, or if not, you can take a quick Uber or drive there. When I was interning at PwC in the summer between junior and senior year, I was still living on campus, but metroing to our office in Northern Virginia. So I think the location of Catholic University is it's prime real estate.
For me, I definitely utilize the people in DC a lot. I think that DC is a very specific personality of very intense go-getters. And you graduate with a lot of them. You end up most of your classmates, you'll see them a lot. You'll see a lot of them succeed, and a lot of them will invite you to their networking event or I work for a very tiny company. We work in startups, creative businesses. We do a lot of really awesome work, but we were very small. But my friends that I graduated that are at big financial firms, I'll be at their networking events, or I'll be at big events that people who I met through school always invite you to. It's a tight-knit community, which is nice because it's such a big city with a really small circle. So it was a lot of fun to just be able to network and get that all together. I think when you're studying marketing or management or any sort of thing where your interpersonal relationships are super important, the ability to meet classmates and to meet alumni and to meet people in the city and be able to get to them easily from campus and also get to all of the events going on, it skyrockets a career when you're able to meet the right people. So I think DC was really beneficial for me in that.
Any other final questions before we wrap things up? I want to be respectful of your time. I think we said about a half hour to 45 minutes. Okay, then I'm going to share my screen again one more time. Please feel free to use the QR codes here to connect with some of our current business students, especially if you're interested in some of the internships and other opportunities that they've taken advantage of here at Catholic. And if you want to see some other admitted student sessions, I think our next one coming up is in conjunction with admissions, and followed by that, we'll be doing a session with on the Busch School student experience and student athletics. So about half of our students in their first year and about a third of our students overall are participating in some form of student athletics. So please feel free to join us then. Oh, I think we did see another question in the chat. When is the best time to study abroad, and is it business classes or liberal arts? So Justin or Claire, were you able to study abroad?
Yeah, so I spent my fall semester of junior year in Paris, France. And that's about the time that most people will go. It's either at the end of sophomore year or the beginning of junior year. And my program was actually aligned with a business degree. So I was taking international business, international marketing courses that actually counted toward my own degree progress. So that was kind of nice. It didn't set me back any, and it only, further contributed to getting my 150 credits to be CPA eligible.
I studied abroad my spring of junior year, and it didn't mess with my curriculum at all. I had done a little extra planning to make sure I took all my Spanish classes in Spain, I got all my liberal arts done there. It was a pass-fail program. So I liked doing it in the spring because then I went right into summer. I didn't have to readjust to school, but I think that was more lifestyle than curriculum. I definitely moved around the market. The marketing degree is different from accounting in that it can be moved around a bit. So I moved around a bit in my courses to make sure that I could make it work. It's just about being aware of what you want to do.
Yeah, so I also wanted to add that we actually have our Rome campus as well, where typically we have at least one of our business faculty that will be spending the semester there. So, before COVID hit, we actually had Andreas Widmer, who's a former Swiss Guard and also teaches in our entrepreneurship program. He was teaching some of the classes that were over there. He stayed after COVID hit Italy pretty hard and was able to kind of have that full experience, but still teach some of the classes for our students. But that Rome program will be up and running again in the fall too. If there are no other questions, I'm going to share my screen one more time, but thank you all for taking the time to talk with us tonight. And I hope to engage with you at some point in the future.
Thanks everybody for your time.
Thank you, everyone.